Introduction.
You are about to begin what can be the most important journey of your life. There will be no actual trains, ships, or planes, yet this excursion on which you will discover life's riches will be more vivid and real than any journey you have ever taken, and one you will never forget. Attaining success is not a destination. It is a journey, and you start the journey the moment you determine to be a success. This means that it isn't necessary to reach the pinnacle of success before you begin enjoying it. You gain happiness after taking the first step toward success. This is a little understood fact. You are a success the moment you start on the road to success. Therefore, you do not have to wait until you have money in the bank nor the bills paid before you are a success. You can be a success right now. Since success is a journey, not a destination, this presentation will take the form of a narrative in which the journey you're about to take will be described, the journey you are taking and the journey you have taken. Ben Sweetland, dynamic author of the best-selling book I Will, from which this recording is adapted, suggests that from this moment on, you listen with a selfish ear. By that he means absorb the secrets of health, wealth, and happiness as though they were being revealed to you alone, for they are your personal property the moment you put them to use. Merely knowing that you can do something is not enough. You must determine that you will do it. And there is one other factor which completes the success triangle, a plan to be followed through in carrying out your determination to succeed. The triangle has 3 sides. 1, know that you can be a success. 2, determine that you will be a success. 3, develop a plan of action based on an understanding of the resistance between you and your objective.
Mapping your journey.
Since we have learned that success is not a destination but a journey, and that we are about to embark on such a journey, it will be wise if we begin by mapping our expedition. Let us consider all the things we want out of life: physical benefits, increased possessions, improved personal affairs, or a combination of all of them as objectives. And we will think of these various objectives as stations or stopovers which we'll visit on our journey. Logically, the first step in any journey is deciding where we wish to go. If you're a man, you may have envied other men who, through their success, are able to provide their wives and families with the comforts and luxuries of life. They live in fine homes and they can afford servants. They drive the best automobiles. Both they and their loved ones dress well. There's always plenty of money for travel and for their children's continuing education. If you're a woman, you may have cherished dreams of a successful career, perhaps as a successful writer or designer, or you may have visioned yourself as a brilliant and dramatic actress in the theater, motion pictures, or television. Or possibly you've harbored a secret desire to develop such a radiantly magnetic personality that you can and will attract the type of man who will provide you with the better things of life. Now let's list the objectives we intend to bring into being. For your possessions, you may wish to have a new home, specifically designed and attractively furnished. You may also list a new automobile, a large wardrobe, financial security, and freedom from debt. Your intended physical benefits probably include better health, less or more weight, better memory, ability to master habits, and general peace of mind. As for your personal affairs, you may yearn for the genuine respect of everyone you know, the quality of leadership, and for a prestige job. Keep this list handy and review it several times every day. Read it carefully, not with the feeling that you're wishing for the listed objectives, but that you're actually reviewing a list of blessings that are about to become realities. Following these instructions, will mean that perhaps for the first time in your life, you will design your future according to a plan. You will find to your astonishment that you can and will acquire the money you need for the kind of life you've envisioned. Your health will improve. You'll grow more youthful regardless of your present age. The evidence will be in your face as it reflects the beauty of your thoughts. All of the foregoing considerations are part of mapping the journey you're about to begin, a journey into a land of adventure, accomplishment, and above all, happiness.
Preparing to start your journey.
It's time to pack your bags. And remember, what you take with you will have a definite bearing on how much you'll enjoy your journey. Let us imagine some kind of super conveyance which is ready and waiting to transport us from a land of drudgery, disappointment, and a miscellaneous assortment of disconcerting problems. It will take us into a state of fulfillment where we no longer wish, we accomplish. It is a state where a desire does not mean an empty hope, but rather a mental directive indicating that which will add to your happiness and which will be yours as soon as you apply the principles. Can you imagine any more pleasant state of affairs? A moment ago I said it was time to pack your bags. You may logically ask, what kind of bags? Well, as far as material baggage is concerned, you will start your journey with nothing more than the clothing you're wearing right now. But you should bring with you many things of far greater importance than wearing apparel. The proper mental attributes are definitely necessary on this journey. The first of these is an I can spirit. There's no rhyme nor reason in trying to do anything unless you know you can do it. So I can is the first personal characteristic to be packed into your traveling luggage. You may say, suppose I don't have that particular characteristic. Does that mean I can't go along on the journey? Of course not. Acquiring an I can personality is far easier than you think. Positive thinking is all you need to realize that you can do almost anything you really want to do. A shortcut to that kind of thinking is explained in detail on a popular recording just like this one. It's titled, I Can, by Ben Sweetland. The second characteristic you must definitely carry with you is an I will determination. The most essential elements in building an I will consciousness are these. First, be happy. Second, have an incentive. Third, know the resistance you must overcome. Fourth, have a plan of action. Fifth, overcome procrastination. Sixth, be ready to start and start when ready. 7, make continued progress. Think about these elements for a moment and you'll realize how important they are to you and your progress. Before we start, it may help to visualize your journey's objectives if you give them tangible representation. Here's one way to do it. Get yourself a good-sized scrapbook. And if you're handy at lettering, print these letters on the book's cover. M-J-I-T-L-O-A-A-H. It won't mean much to anyone else, but you'll know that M-J-I-T-L-O-A-A-H is the title of your projected trip, and that it means My Journey into the Land of Abundance and Happiness. Then make the scrapbook an exciting picture story of the objectives about to be yours. Paste in pictures of the new home you want to own, the new car that will be yours, new clothes, and all the other evidences of the success that you will achieve. It's a good idea to keep that scrapbook readily available for repeated inspection as you travel.
We're ready. Let's go.
A multimillionaire was once asked about his greatest thrill in achieving success. Was it when you acquired your first million? Queried the interviewer. No, the rich man replied. It was not when I had money. The biggest thrill was when I began to make money. Our knowledge that success is not a destination but a journey adds a new significance to that wealthy man's answer. Right now, as you start on your journey to success and happiness, you will receive your initiation into a new way of life. With it, you will virtually possess a magic wand that will assure fulfillment of your every desire. The benefits you will gain from listening to this recording will accrue in direct proportion to the degree in which you understandingly accept the thought expressed in the foregoing statement. As you begin to move forward on your journey, you are naturally happy in the thought that you have left all unpleasant memories behind. Doubts, fears, self-pity, and thoughts of limitation have been discarded and denied. Conversely, memories of your love and friendship for others is going with you. From now on, you will enjoy the privilege of being able to do for them the countless good things you've always wanted to do. In presenting these truths, Ben Sweetland is not suggesting that you do anything he has not personally experienced. Prior to reaching the age of 50, Ben Sweetland and his wife lived in quite humble circumstances. One day, while contemplating the marked difference between success and failure, it dawned upon him that the principal difference is that one person thinks in terms of "I can," while the other one is influenced by the negative thought, "I can't." You are a success right now. You don't have to wait until there's money in the bank and your bills are paid before you're a success. You are a success the moment you acquire a success attitude. Armed with that realization, you can achieve almost anything you desire. As you begin to move forward on this most meaningful journey of your life, fill your mind with thoughts of success. See yourself as a success. Success, as you know, means the achievement of anything of value to you. You can become a successful singer, musician, painter, writer, lawyer, doctor, architect, or achieve success in any other field you choose, as long as you know within yourself that you will succeed.
Happiness.
Although every station you visit on this journey will be a rich and rewarding experience, none of them will exceed in importance the one you're now reaching. It's called happiness. It is possible to achieve a reasonable degree of success in life without being happy. Psychologists have determined a number of reasons for such a contradiction. However, success without happiness is not the life for which we are striving. It is not possible to overemphasize the importance of developing a happy frame of mind. When anyone is unhappy, he approaches his work without spirit. Every task seems to be drudgery. Time passes slowly, and every job he does is not done as well as it might be. In seeking self-improvement, do so with a happy mind. A certain man attempting to find success and happiness complained that he had read every one of the recognized self-help books and had failed to get anything worthwhile from any of them. When he was asked whether he had read the books in a happy frame of mind, he replied, "How can I feel happy when I have so many unsolved problems?" Questioned further as to whether such gloomy thoughts helped solve his problems, he admitted frankly that they didn't. A knowledgeable friend gave him a copy of Ben Sweetland's book, "I Can," and told him to read it with happiness in anticipation of the good he would realize from this source. The man followed his friend's suggestion. Now, several years later, he heads a prosperous business and his future is secure. It's a psychological fact. Happiness helps you to accept the good. Gloom causes you to reject it. Unhappiness has many different causes. Through a greater understanding of these sources, we can oftentimes avoid the unhappy results. Some of the principal causes are a guilty conscience, self-pity, envy, selfishness, timidity, worry, or lack of religious convictions. If a guilty conscience is causing your unhappiness, do one of two things. If at all possible, correct the condition which causes you to feel guilty. If that isn't possible, forgive yourself for the thoughtless mistake you have made and profit from the experience. Most self-pity is a hangover from childhood, when we were young and overabundance of sympathy was showered on us in every physical or emotional crisis. Now, as adults, we have fewer relatives or friends to extend sympathy. Consequently, we do the next best thing and feel sorry for ourselves. The best antidote for self-pity is to count your blessings. Envy is another major enemy of happiness. But if you've been nurturing envy in your heart, you will lose it on this journey. Selfishness, just as the term implies, means inordinate concern with yourself. You can overcome selfishness by giving. It is a fundamental law of nature that the more you give, the more you get. Therefore, the only way to gain happiness is to give happiness. Worry is a mental picture or projection of something you do not want. On our journey, concentrate on the things you do want. Worry can't exist when you think positively. And finally, remember this: a sincere religious conviction will supply the greatest happiness and peace of mind you will ever know.
Enthusiasm.
Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm." The essential truth of this statement is reflected in the successful career of every man and woman who ever lived. Whenever you approach any project or task as a job, you do so with a feeling of necessity. You may do the work well enough, but the time will drag. If you accept that same assignment with a happy frame of mind, the work will seem easier and time will pass more quickly. However, when you tackle a job with enthusiasm, put your entire spirit into it, you not only do the work better than you've ever done it before, but time, instead of dragging, literally flies by. Enthusiasm is the catalyst which accelerates reaction toward a specific objective. Enthusiasm not only prompts memory, it employs reason and shapes both of them for action. It also develops motive power and provides guidance. In short, enthusiasm, sincerely, properly developed, is one of the most potent forces you possess. It can elevate you in rank, dignity, power, wealth, and character. How do you generate enthusiasm? The first requirement is an incentive. Without an incentive, there would be little desire or reason for enthusiasm. Your incentive may be the love and trust of your family, or possibly the fulfillment of your own personal ambitions. In order to be effective, enthusiasm must be matched by determination. For no matter how enthusiastic you may become, it takes determination to follow through to accomplishment. Entirely too many people belong to the going to clan. They're always going to do something, but they never seem to get started. Firm determination will separate you from that do-nothing group. Actually, the only difference between work and play is your attitude. When you approach a project with enthusiasm, it becomes play, and therefore pleasant to do. If your attitude is one of fear and dread, the project is nothing but hard and unrewarding work. Match your self-generated enthusiasm with determination, and then add one more component: action. And don't worry about overloading your schedule. You'll be amazed at your capacity for accomplishment. William Hazlitt, the British author and critic, defined it this way: the more we do, the more we can do. The busier we are, the more leisure we have. Finally, in establishing your own enthusiasm, don't be afraid of egoism or self-appreciation. Remember, the world will think no more of you than you think of yourself. Learn to like yourself for the thoughts you're thinking and the deeds you're doing.
Happy discontent.
Happy discontent. You may think this an odd name for a stopover station on our journey, but consider it a moment, and I'm sure you'll agree it makes a great deal of good sense. Elbert Hubbard analyzed it a number of years ago in his famous scrapbook. He said, "There are two kinds of discontent in this world, the discontent that works and the discontent that wrings its hands. The first gets what it wants, the second loses what it had. There's no cure for the first but success, and there's no cure at all for the second." Happy discontent is that condition in which you are not satisfied with yourself. You're impatient with things as they are, but at the same time you're happy in the realization that you have within you the power to change yourself and, consequently, to change those things in any way you wish. Philip Brooks described it this way: "Sad will be the day for any man when he becomes contented with the thoughts he is thinking and the deeds he is doing, when there is no forever beating at the doors of his soul some great desire to do something larger which he knows he was meant and made to do." Every invention listed in the U.S. Patent Office is the result of discontent, for every inventor is a man not satisfied with something as it is, so he finds a way to improve it. A great fault with most human beings is that they take themselves for granted. They consciously or subconsciously feel that they were intended to be as they are, and there is nothing to be done about it. The best way to put a man on the road to success is to make him discontented in his present condition or situation. Be sure, however, that he develops a happy, active type of discontent, not the hand-wringing kind. Then counsel that man, it could easily be yourself, to develop a healthy "I can" attitude, and to back it up with what we've learned at the two previous stopover stations, happiness and enthusiasm. With this combination, he will certainly blaze new trails of accomplishment. Those wishes in the past will rapidly become realities in the future.
Action.
In one of his typically terse observations, John Locke, the philosopher, said, "The actions of men are the best interpreters of their thoughts." Ben Sweetland, through his wide experience in psychological counseling, recalls a case in point. A patient mentioned a current newspaper article which told of a man who had recently made a fortune with the use of a very simple idea. "You know," the patient remarked, "I thought of that same idea over 10 years ago." "Why didn't you do something about it?" Mr. Sweetland asked. The reply was the common shrug of the shoulders, the "oh well, that's life" attitude of resigned acceptance. In physics, we learn of two different types of energy, potential and kinetic. Potential energy is energy existing in possibility, not in actuality. Kinetic energy is energy in motion. We're all possessed of potential energy, but it doesn't become kinetic until we put it in motion. For example, suppose an ordinary bowling ball is placed on a shelf. If it should accidentally roll off the shelf, it would break almost anything more fragile than itself. Yet, as long as it remains motionless on the shelf, it is harmless. It represents only potential energy. In motion, that same energy becomes kinetic. This principle is also applicable to the man in the newspaper article who made a fortune with a very simple idea. He converted his potential into kinetic energy, which is action. Ben Sweetland's patient, who had the same idea but allowed it to remain dormant, had potential energy too, but he never translated it into kinetic action. The causes for this most common form of inactivity are many and varied. Among them, we find a sense of inadequacy, lack of time, lack of knowledge, lack of experience, and, of course, just simple laziness. Considering the causes separately, a large number of people never tap their potential energy because they feel inadequate. They have no faith in either their ideas or their abilities. This is a psychological block that can be removed easily by gaining an "I can" awareness. Lack of time in reality means lack of time organization. Plan your time carefully, and you'll be amazed how many additional minutes and hours you'll save. Lack of knowledge isn't a reason for inactivity, it's an excuse. In this day and age of well-stocked public libraries, cheap paper-backed editions of texts on every conceivable subject, educational radio and television programs, and recorded home study courses, there's little excuse for not increasing your knowledge. Lack of experience can be corrected by wise use of some of the time you'll save through time organization and applying it to new job possibilities. Sheer laziness is inexcusable under any and all circumstances. The successful future you're building for yourself has no place for indolence.
Continuity.
The name of the last station we visited was Action. There we learned that an integral part of success is action, more action, always action. The name of this station is Continuity, the natural and logical corollary, continuity of action. The great German poet Goethe gave utterance to a timeless truth when he said, "He who moves not forward goes backward." We all know that nothing stands still, nothing remains the same. The essence of life itself is sustained action. However, there is one important point to remember in all action that leads to success. Do not get yourself in the frame of mind where you feel action is based on necessity. It's possible under pressure to spur yourself on to do things, but you seldom reach great heights of accomplishment that way. Your work is not as good as it might be because you've taken no real pleasure in doing it. In order to achieve true success, you must reach the state of consciousness in which all of your actions are based upon a desire to act and not upon a sudden spur of willpower. Seneca, the Roman philosopher, crystallized this thought in a single sentence when he said, "The greater part of progress is the desire to progress." No matter what kind of work you do, don't pursue it primarily because of an urge to make money. It is far better to continue a certain line of endeavor because you enjoy doing it. The money, plenty of it, will come as a natural result of good work well done. Habits are so easy to form, both good ones and bad ones. You may make a good resolution to sustain your continuity of action, to keep on keeping on, but unless you're consistent in your desire to progress, you may become careless and neglect your work for a day or two. When this happens, your enthusiasm disappears quickly, and so does your resolution. Resolve, then, to strengthen each resolution with maintained enthusiasm and continuity of action.
Components.
From a distance, the station we are now approaching might not appear as interesting as many of those just passed, but we're in for a happy surprise. What we will gain at this station will prove of great value to us for the rest of our lives. In physics, we learn that all material substances are composed of minute particles or atoms. Although at the moment we're not going to focus our attention on anything as small as an atom, it does serve to illustrate that every entity is composed of many parts, and if an objective in life is an entity, it too is composed of numerous elements or components. Do you know why so comparatively few people ever attain their objectives? Generally, it's because they keep their attention focused solely on the objective as a whole rather than considering the many component parts of their objective. For example, take a magnifying glass and examine closely any photograph you may find in your daily newspaper. Under magnification, you'll discover that the picture is not an arrangement of solid grays and blacks. Instead, it's made up of thousands and thousands of tiny gray and black dots. They only appear to form solid areas because there are so many of them. In much the same fashion, Every completed whole is made up of countless units or components. The modern skyscraper, as impressive as it is, contains uncounted thousands of bricks and pieces of steel. A coast-to-coast trip by automobile, a distance of more than 3,000 miles, may seem like a tremendous undertaking, but when you consider it as a series of short daily drives, it isn't nearly so long. The same principle applies to the accumulation of money. An amassed fortune considered as a whole appears so large that trying to acquire it seems futile. Yet that same fortune is nothing more or less than a collection of much smaller monetary units. It isn't difficult to plan ways of earning a few extra dollars, and when they're saved regularly, they multiply much faster than you think. Later, you can invest those dollars, and the day will soon come when the money you've kept will keep you.
Analysis, synthesis.
There is a marked resemblance between what we learned at the last station, components, and that which we will learn at this one. Webster defines the word synthesis as composition or combination of parts to form a whole, also the whole thus formed. In our pattern of progress, when we think of our objective as a completed whole, we are synthesizing it. At this station, we'll learn to become analytical. For example, consider an ordinary watch as such, synthesis. We'll consider the many intricate parts which make it tick, analysis. At this point in our journey, you should also gain an appreciation of observation and concentration. The more you understand and practice both of them, the easier it will be for you to make great strides through the use of the knowledge you have gained thus far. We all see, very few of us observe. Seeing is merely scanning the panorama constantly within range of our sight. Observing is mentally recording that which the eye sees and storing it for future use. Developing your powers of observation will aid you materially with your analysis of the components that make up your objective. Make it a practice to observe what you see. Just to test yourself, you might try selecting different routes going to and from work every day. Then observe, note, and remember everything you see. As your powers of observation grow, you'll get infinitely more out of life. No matter what you do, the business of living can't become boring because your mind will be active with interesting thoughts. Concentration shares equal importance with observation. Concentrating means focusing attention on any object or subject until you have gained a full and complete understanding of it. You'll master the art of concentration the moment you become concentration conscious. Don't alibi or excuse yourself by saying, "I can't concentrate." You can if you hold an "I can" thought, and you will if you persevere. Use this idea. Say to yourself, "I possess great powers of concentration. I can focus my mind on any thought or subject until I choose to dispose of it." You'll be pleasantly surprised to discover how much your powers of concentration will improve. Any subject can be synthesized and analyzed for your greater happiness and profit when you learn to observe and concentrate.
Major, minor.
In thinking of your objectives, do some of them appear so monumental they seem to be beyond your ability to achieve? If so, you must learn to divide them into majors and minors. Hereafter, think of your objective as your major objective, then break it down into smaller or minor objectives. Remember what you've previously learned. Your objective, now your major objective, must be specific. You must know exactly what it is you wish to accomplish. Now take your first minor objective, and until it is attained, give it the temporary rank of major. Lay aside any thoughts you may have regarding any succeeding minor objectives. You are concerned only with the first one. Now consider all the resistances that stand between you and the attainment of that objective. Formulate a plan to remove them, and once that is accomplished, use the procedure with the next minor, temporarily major objective. As a hypothetical case in point, suppose you are a small manufacturer. Your major objective is to produce a new product, place it on the market, and gain national distribution. Your competition would probably be similar products with established distribution and huge advertising budgets. The prospects of success, judged solely from this point of view, would seem rather dubious. You, however, have learned the wisdom of major and minor objectives. Consequently, in this particular case, you don't strive immediately for national distribution of the new product. Instead, you arrange first for local distribution. Once this objective is attained, you move forward to the market bounded by your state. Later, your product finds regional sales, and finally, national distribution, which was your original major objective. A much simpler illustration would be your desire to master a musical instrument, the piano, for example. If you think only of your major objective, competent musicianship on the piano, the task will seem impossibly hard and long. But if you reduce that formidable major objective into a series of minor ones, lessons and practice periods over a predetermined span of time, you'll reach your major objective much sooner than you expect. Just remember this: everything becomes smaller and easier to attain when you reduce it to minor units.
A new life pattern.
We are now approaching the station on our journey which will undoubtedly mean more to you than any of those we've already visited. The reason is because the accent is on you. Here, through concentration and your new I can attitude, you'll acquire all of the laudable characteristics you admire in others. You'll now begin the construction of an entirely new life pattern. You will be the master of yourself. Probably the greatest difficulty anyone has to overcome before acquiring self-mastery is the acceptance of the realization that he can master himself. Psychological studies made of those who suffer from fear, timidity, and sense of inferiority clearly indicate that most of those people have no idea they could react to life in any other way. But regardless of anyone else, you, from this moment on, are going to see yourself as you want to be. And since the process may require some change of habit, it will be accomplished sooner if we break it down into steps. Step number 1. Begin now to think of yourself and see yourself as you'd like to be. Don't resort to wishing. Imagine yourself as being your own master under any and all circumstances. See yourself in the presence of others with perfect poise and self-assurance. Know that others like you because you like others. Step number 2. Since it is true that you are what you think you are, it will be necessary to change the mold pattern of your thinking if you are to alter the effects of your thinking. Hold this thought: I am master of my being. Keep it uppermost in your mind at all times. Repeat it over and over again when you awaken in the morning, frequently during the day, and especially before retiring at night. Step number 3. Do not watch for results. If you do that, it will indicate doubt as to the efficacy of the principles you're using. Instead of looking for results, know that they are there. Your new positive mental picture will begin growing immediately. In acquiring self-mastery, don't overlook the elimination of habits you'd like to overcome. For example, if excessive smoking, drinking, or gambling have been holding you back, don't think defeatedly, I can't stop that habit. Concentrate on the fact that you are the master of yourself and that you can stop any habit at any time. Under those conditions, you'll find that you will stop, and without either mental or physical travail.
Your first plateau.
We've arrived at your first plateau, but we won't remain here very long. We'll stay only until we become thoroughly accustomed to the many blessings and possessions we've acquired on this journey. Right now, we are ready for a great transition. Our self-made Shangri-La is one that is definitely real to our mental selves and clearly visible to our mind's eye. Our physical eyes see the same environment we saw before we started on the journey, the same house, the same wardrobe, the same occupation, and the same financial situation. But our attitude toward all of our physical possessions of the past has changed completely. Any feelings of discouragement or self-pity we may have held have vanished. We know a new confidence that we never had before, because we now have a clear vision of the kind of life we want, the life we know will be ours. In your position as our honored guest and passenger, you have learned that you can accomplish great things, and you have resolved that you will accomplish them. This realization, however, would not be complete unless you add another great truth. The word will has an indefinite aspect. You may decide that you'll do a certain thing, but the time for action is not fixed. It could be tomorrow, next month, next week, or next year, and it could even be several years from now, and as long as you did it, eventually, you would be keeping your promise to yourself. But by the very postponement of action, you're denying yourself the realization of everything you seek. Begin today creating a mental pattern of yourself as one who does things now. Know that after you choose an objective and your reasoning faculties determine it is one you can attain, you will make a start as soon as possible. Picture yourself as synonymous with action. You'll soon reach a point where it will be impossible to waste time in beginning any course of action that will result in your ultimate good.
New trails to blaze.
Although it is only a very short time since you started this journey, and it would be physically impossible for you to attain your objectives or even part of them within such a limited span, I want you to assume that your objectives are realities, because they will be realities. When you first began mapping your journey, you started thinking in terms of material things which you felt would make you happy. It seemed as though you had encompassed everything. But remember the axiom, nothing stands still. It either moves forward or backward. As long as you remember this, you can't possibly go backward. Then, with your estate well established, your future secure from a financial standpoint, you'll naturally give consideration to those phases of life which will keep your interests alive always. For after your objectives have been fulfilled, you have the golden opportunity to do some of the things you've always wished to do. Maybe you've envied people who have developed musical talents. Wouldn't it be fun to take up some musical instrument and to become proficient as a musician solely because you wanted to do it? Or there are several other arts which you might find equally satisfying. Men such as Sir Winston Churchill and Dwight Eisenhower have found painting to be a tremendous source of creative enjoyment. Perhaps you too might enjoy expressing some of your ideas in color. Another personal satisfaction is writing. Some of the best composition of both fiction and non-fiction has been written by men and women in their senior years. You might enjoy it. There's only one way to find out. Try it. The journey which you're just completing will never return you to your former way of life. It is the beginning of more abundance and happiness than you have ever known.
Retrospection, inspection, anticipation.
Up to now, we have been concerned with the past, present, and future by changing thought patterns established in the past. We are aware that our actions in the present will bring the type of future we desire. It might be well, however, at the close of our journey, to consider the past, present, and future specifically, that is, their relation to each other. There are two distinct phases of the past, material and memory. Every material possession you own is from the past. The house where you live, the clothes you wear, the car you drive, and the food you have on your pantry shelves. Memories of the past are sometimes disconcerting. Actually, everything of the past should be considered constructively. Your material possessions are just stepping stones to better possessions that you will acquire in the future. And by the same reasoning, memories of past experiences should be considered principally as lessons for the future. The journey we've just completed started in the past and ended in the past, but it will prove to be the most important expedition you've ever taken. You've revised your viewpoint of life completely. You now know beyond any doubt that the future is of your own making and that you can alter it to suit yourself. Your present is an extremely fine line separating your past from the future. Your actions during the present were directed by thoughts of the past and will conclude in the future. The future, of course, must be your principal concern. Most people exist from day to day merely letting things happen to them. But those who have completed this journey will live a happy and prosperous future because it will have been planned. Right now, at this moment, you are seeing your future as you want it to be. You also know that your subconscious mind, your mental powerhouse, is guiding your thoughts and actions. Thus, you will take whatever steps necessary to bring one of your objectives into being. Never again will you be satisfied to accept anything from life which is not your rightful heritage.